Question 1. Which of the following is the best example of a Pigouvian tax? A. A tax on cigarettes. B. A tax rate that increases as incomes increase. C. A value-added tax. D. A property tax. Answer A. A tax on cigarettes. A Pigouvian tax is named after Arthur Pigou, a 20th-century British economist. Pigouvian taxes are imposed on goods whose price does not reflect the true total social cost of their consumption. Typical examples include taxes on cigarettes, alcohol, or gambling. Recently there have been discussions about Pigouvian taxes on non-diet sodas and fast food. Question 2. The Age Discrimination Act of 1967 protects employees' ages and above from age discrimination. A. 40. B. 50. C. 55. D. 60. Answer A. 40. Age discrimination protection applies to employees age 40 and above. Question 3. What is the median of the following numbers: -5, -2, 8, 12, 14, 14, 18, 21? A. 10. B. 13. C. 14. D. 26. Answer B. 13. The median is 13, the middle value. Because there are an even number of values, we take the two middle values, 12 and 14, and average them, getting 13. The mean, or average, is 10. The mode is 14. The range is 26. Question 4. Mercosur is a trade bloc among countries from which of the following regions? A. Southeast Asia. B. South America. C. Sub-Saharan Africa. D. Balkans. Answer B. South America. Mercosur or Mercosul is a regional trade agreement founded in 1991 by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay, countries located in South America. Question 5. The Treaty on Open Skies is most likely to deal with which of the following? A. Increase in the number of air routes between participant countries. B. A regime of unarmed aerial observation over the territory of its participants. C. A program for space exploration. D. Rules to increase competition on commercial air routes among participant countries. Answer B. A regime of unarmed aerial observation over the territory of its participants. The Treaty of Open Skies entered into force in 2002 and currently has 34 parties. The treaty establishes a regime of unarmed aerial observation over the entire territory of its participants. The treaty is designed to enhance mutual understanding and confidence by giving all participants, regardless of size, a direct role in gathering information about military forces and activities of concern to them. Do not confuse the Treaty of Open Skies with the Open Skies Agreement that liberalized transatlantic air travel. Question 6. Many interstate highways in the U.S. have, or had until the 1990s, a maximum speed limit of 55 miles per hour. What is the reason for that speed limit? A. To reduce gasoline consumption. B. To reduce the number of accidental deaths and serious injuries. C. Because cars in the 1940s and 1950s could not safely drive at higher speeds. D. To reduce the rate of accidents among young people. Answer A. To reduce gasoline consumption. The national speed limit of 55 miles per hour attempted to conserve energy as a response to the oil price spikes and supply disruptions during the 1973 oil crisis. Question 7. The term start is most likely to mean which of the following? A. Standard terminal access, refresh task. B. A congressional office that conducts research for members of Congress. C. A database software. D. A treaty signed between the United States and the Soviet Union that aimed to reduce the number of nuclear weapons. Answer: D. A treaty signed between the United States and the Soviet Union that aimed to reduce the number of nuclear weapons. The United States and the former Soviet Union signed the START Treaty, Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, in 1991 to remove thousands of nuclear warheads from their operational forces. Question 8. Where was the first Ferris wheel located? A. London, next to the Thames River. B. Chicago for the World's Fair. C. Coney Island at an amusement park. D. San Francisco. Answer: B. Chicago for the World's Fair. The first Ferris wheel was built by George Ferris in 1893 for the World's Fair in Chicago. Question 9. The temperance movement was most concerned with which of the following? A. Smoking. B. Slavery. C. Alcohol. D. Voting rights. Answer: C. Alcohol. The temperance movement was concerned with alcoholism and with reducing, or eliminating, the consumption of alcohol. Ultimately, the 18th Amendment to the Constitution prohibited alcohol consumption in the U.S. Question 10. Who was the first African-American author that published a book? A. Harriet Beecher Stowe. B. Frederick Douglass. C. Harriet Tubman. D. Phyllis Wheatley. Answer: D. Phyllis Wheatley. Phyllis Wheatley was the first African-American to publish a poem book in 1773. Phyllis Wheatley was a slave who gained her freedom after the book's publication. Question 11. The price of corn is $10 per bushel. Due to a drought in the Midwest, the price increases by 20%. Subsequently, imports from Brazil increased dramatically to meet the demand for corn and prices declined by 25%. After these two price changes, the price of corn is closest to which of the following? A. $6. B. $8. C. $9. D. $9.50. Answer: C. $9. The price of corn first increased from $10 to $12, $10*1.2 equals $12. Subsequently, the price of corn declined by $3, or 25% of $12, $12*0.25 equals $3, to $9, 12 to $3 equals $9. Question 12. In Internet advertising, CPC and CPM are most likely to refer to which of the following? A. Cost per 100 clicks, cost per 1 million clicks. B. Cost per 100 clicks, cost per 1,000 clicks. C. Cost per click, cost per 1,000 impressions. D. Cost per click, cost per 1 million impressions. Answer: C. Cost per click, cost per 1,000 impressions. CPC, cost per click. CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. M is 1,000 in Roman numerals. Question 13. Franklin D. Roosevelt was known for his fireside chats. Which of the following did this term refer to? A. Filmed addresses played in theaters prior to movies. B. Newspaper opinion columns. C. Television addresses. D. Radio addresses. Answer: D. Radio addresses. Fireside chats were a series of radio addresses given by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to address the nation. Question 14. In a presidential election, if none of the candidates receives more than 50% of the Electoral College votes, what happens? A. The candidate with the most electoral votes becomes president. B. The Senate decides who becomes president. C. The House of Representatives decides who becomes president, with each state having one vote. D. Congress, both houses, decides who becomes president, with each member of each of the houses having one vote. Answer C. The House of Representatives decides who becomes president, with each state having one vote. The candidate that receives the most votes in the Electoral College becomes president only if the candidate receives more than 50% of the votes. If no one receives more than 50% of the votes, the House of Representatives elects the president, with each state having one vote. In the 1824 elections, neither candidate received 50% of the votes and the election was decided in the House of Representatives. John Quincy Adams became president even though Andrew Jackson had received a greater number of Electoral College votes. This episode became known as the corrupt bargain after Henry Clay, the Speaker of the House, became Secretary of State under John Quincy Adams. Question 15. In which of the following places did George Washington surrender to the enemy? A. Saratoga. B. Trenton. C. Foot Necessity. D. Valley Forge. Answer C. Foot Necessity. George Washington was a British officer during the French and Indian War. In 1754, George Washington surrendered Foot Necessity to the French. Question 16. The Declaration of Independence states that governments derive their power from the consent of the governed, and that the people have a right to change their government. This theory is best described as A. Democracy. B. Social compact. C. Republicanism. D. Political legitimacy. Answer B. Social compact. The social compact or social contract is a theory of government that states that governments derive their political authority from the consent of the governed. Question 17. Which of the following approvals is required for a constitutional amendment to be ratified? A. 3/4 of the state legislatures. B. 3/4 of both houses of Congress. C. 2/3 of the state legislatures. D. 2/3 of both houses of Congress. Answer A. 3/4 of the state legislatures. An amendment can be proposed by 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. An amendment needs to be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures or by conventions in 3/4 of the states. Question 18. Which of the following is known as Secretary of State Seward's Folly? A. The decision to build the Panama Canal in 1881. B. The Alaska Purchase of 1867. C. The attack on the Hawaiian Islands and U.S. support for Queen Liliuokalani. D. The actions that led to the United States and the United Kingdom almost engaging in military action in Canada. Answer B. The Alaska Purchase of 1867. The purchase of Alaska was known as Seward's Folly. William Seward was Governor of New York and Secretary of State under Presidents Lincoln and Johnson. Question 19. Sutter's Mill is best known for which of the following? A. The first mill built in the U.S., which started the American Industrial Revolution. B. The machine that helped separate the cotton's fibers from its seeds. C. The largest and most important British textile manufacturing plant during the First Industrial Revolution. D. The place where gold was first discovered in California. Answer D. The place where gold was first discovered in California. In 1848, gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill near Sacramento, California. This discovery started the California Gold Rush. The first mill, textile manufacturing plant, was built by Samuel Slater, a British immigrant to the U.S. Slater built the first mill, Slater's Mill, in the late 18th century in Rhode Island. The cotton gin was the machine that helped revolutionize the cotton industry in the U.S. by allowing people to quickly remove the seeds from the cotton fibers. Question 20. In the late 19th century, a new form of entertainment grew out of minstrel shows and became popular with American families by including dancing, singing, juggling, animals and other acts. Which of the following best describes this form of entertainment? A. Burlesque. B. Circus. C. Revue. D. Vaudeville. Answer: D. Vaudeville. Vaudeville became popular with families in the late 19th century by combining acts from musicians, acrobats and magicians, such as Harry Houdini. Question 21. When a Chinese person responds to a request with maybe or we'll see, he is most likely to mean which of the following? A. Yes. B. No. C. I need to think about it and will get back to you. D. I need to ask my superiors. Answer: B. No. Chinese people have difficulty saying no. Instead, they may say maybe or we'll see when they mean to say no. See www.ediplomat.com for more information on cultural etiquette. Question 22. Which of the following Supreme Court cases upheld the Jim Crow laws by creating the separate but equal doctrine? A. Brown v. Board of Education. B. Plessy v. Ferguson. C. Marbury v. Madison. D. Dred Scott v. Sanford. Answer: B. Plessy v. Ferguson. Plessy v. Ferguson established the separate but equal doctrine in 1896. Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, stated that separate but equal has no place because separate facilities are inherently unequal. Marbury v. Madison, 1803, established the principle of judicial review. Dred Scott v. Sanford, 1857, determined that African Americans were not citizens. Question 23. Which of the following economic theories believes that government should not interfere in the economy during cyclical booms and busts because the market will self-correct without the need of government intervention? A. Supply-side economics. B. Classical economics. C. Keynesian economics. D. Smithian economics. Answer: B. Classical economics. Classical economics are based on Adam Smith's book The Wealth of Nations, in which he presented the view that the invisible hand of the markets will help markets adjust in response to the market cycles without need of government intervention. Question 24. How many electoral college votes are there in a U.S. presidential election? A. 434. B. 535. C. 536. D. 538. Answer: D. 538. There are 538 votes in the Electoral College. Each state gets a number of electoral votes equal to its representation in Congress, 2 for senators plus number of representatives. There are 100 senators and 435 representatives for a total of 535. In addition, the District of Columbia gets 3 electoral college votes as required by the 23rd Amendment to the Constitution. Thus, the total of electoral votes is 538, 535 for the 50 states and 3 for the District of Columbia. Question 25. The interest rate at which the Federal Reserve lends to member banks is called A. The discount rate, B. The federal funds rate, C. The LIBOR rate, D. The Treasury rate. Answer A. The discount rate. The discount rate is the rate at which the Federal Reserve lends money to banks. The federal funds rate is the rate at which banks lend to each other in the overnight market to meet their reserve requirements. The LIBOR rate is a rate at which banks lend to each other. The Treasury rate is a rate at which the U.S. Treasury borrows money. Question 26. Shield laws have been established to provide protection to which of the following? A. Racial minorities, B. Whistleblowers, C. Journalists, D. Police. Answer C. Journalists. Shield laws provide protection to journalists by protecting them against requirements to disclose their sources. In a 2005 case, reporter Judith Miller of the New York Times spent almost 3 months in jail for refusing to disclose her sources on a story in which she publicly released the name of CIA officer Valerie Plame. Question 27. A reporter is conducting an interview on the record and recording it on tape. After 15 minutes, the source requests that the reporter turn the tape off before providing some additional information on a political candidate. After providing this information, the reporter turns the recorder back on. When writing the story, which of the following is most likely to happen? A. The reporter can provide quotes on what the source said during the whole interview, regardless of whether the recorder was on or off. B. The reporter can provide quotes on what the source said during the recorded portions of the interview, but can only paraphrase the information given when the recorder was turned off. C. The reporter can provide quotes on what the source said during the recorded portions of the interview, but cannot provide any information given while the recorder was turned off. D. The reporter can provide quotes of what was said while the recorder was on, but he cannot name the source when paraphrasing information during the portion that was not recorded. Answer A. The reporter can provide quotes on what the source said during the whole interview, regardless of whether the recorder was on or off. Unless the source requested that the interview be off the record or on background, the reporter can quote anything said during the interview, whether the recorder was on or off. The reporter can write notes while the interviewee speaks, so that he can accurately quote him in the article. Question 28. The Literary Digest conducted a poll to determine who would win the 1936 presidential election, Franklin Roosevelt or Alfred Landon. The magazine collected names from telephone directories and automobile registrations to select a random sample of over 2 million Americans. Based on polling this large sample, the magazine erroneously predicted an overwhelming victory for Landon. Which of the following is the most likely explanation for this mistake? A. Random error, B. Data mining, C. Sample selection bias, D. Placebo effect. Answer C. Sample selection bias. The selection of random names from vehicle registrations and phone directories may be appropriate today. In the 1930s Depression, only the more affluent people were able to afford these items. Thus, the sample, though large at 2 million, was more affluent than the overall population. As a result, the poll resulted in the wrong prediction due to sample bias. Sample bias occurs when a segment of the population is overrepresented compared to other segments. For example, if one conducted a poll of readers of Cosmopolitan magazine, the sample bias would be that there would likely be more women than men in the sample. Question 29. If a country has a primary deficit, this is most likely to mean that A. The government's revenues are less than the government expenses, using purchasing power parity foreign exchange rates. B. The government's revenues are less than the government expenses, excluding energy imports. C. The government's revenues are less than the government expenses, excluding interest expenses. D. The government's revenues are less than the government expenses, excluding foreign exchange losses. Answer: C. The government's revenues are less than the government expenses, excluding interest expenses. A primary budget deficit means that the government's revenues, e.g., tax collections, exceed the government's expenses, excluding interest costs. Question 30. Pirates based in Somalia are most likely to attack vessels traveling through which of the following? A. Gulf of Aden. B. Persian Gulf. C. Strait of Malacca. D. Strait of Hormuz. Answer: A. Gulf of Aden. Pirates based in Somalia are known to attack ships traveling in the Indian Ocean, usually in the Gulf of Aden located between Somalia and Yemen.